Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Who, in your eyes, did the best job as far as coaching goes?
You know, Doug Dinan gets it for me, for Carroll. You lose Justin Tranquil. We made such a big deal about that postseason, and it was a legitimate loss for Carroll. Just to the experience and veteran experience he brought both sides of the ball, and then the volatile quarterback spot early in the season. Just that fan base was just torn in half. I mean, they're booing, and they're winning games,
right?
And they're booing. And all stuff, and just to keep that team together, keep the majority of the fan base together, eventually settles on Aiden Smith to go to quarterback, to go undefeated the regular season, and eventually losing the playoffs to Carmel. He's my coach of the year. You know, some people were really upset with Doug early in the year, but you know, you can't argue with the record they had and with all that they went through on and off the field to only have one loss at the end of the year is impressive.
And I think the scary thing is this team goes undefeated in the regular season. Their best player, perhaps on offense, their best player for defense are going to be back, in Dylan Connor and Aiden Smith. So they got a lot of things working in their favor at Carroll, although they will make the jump to the SAC next year, which will be the biggest storyline going into next season.
Yeah.
Some guys I thought about Scott Shaw because although he had talent, didn't have the depth, and it's always tough to come in where there's a system and make some changes.
I think it's really tough for the spot that Shaw was in, inexperienced with those kids.
Right.
I mean, just completely out of the area, out of the state even, to come in and really mesh with those kids. It's easier said than done, and he did a really good job.
And he's seeing what Bishop Dwenger does, what Bishop Luers does, what Snyder does for the first time on tape.
Yeah.
And so to make those adjustments, I thought he did a really good job, and maybe understated, but I thought he did a good job. I picked Kyle Lindsey.
Yeah.
Because I think when you look at last year, you mentioned it earlier, how maybe it was a little bit of an overreaction, like, oh, they're going to be down for a long time. You know they're not.
Right.
But I think he did a great job as far as getting the football to the guys that could make plays offensively. I just thought it was a fantastic turnaround season and a really great storyline for Bishop Luers to earn a share of the SAC championship, considering how strong Wayne and Snyder were as well.
Yeah, you know, seasons like last year can snowball if you're not careful, you know, because you're dealing with high school kids in the end. And for him to come back with a largely young team still this year, and a lot of juniors on that team, and for him, he brought a couple assistants back that weren't on the staff last year. It was just a real volatile situation with Luers last year, on and off the field. Just a lot of stuff that Coach Lindsey had to deal with. For him to come into year two and really silence the doubters, so to speak, not just him, but the program as well. I mean, yeah, he was definitely in my top three for that award. But I think, for me, Dinan gets the nod over Lindsey just because of the amount of talent that Luers had. It was just a matter of meshing that talent at Luers. But for Dinan, it was a bigger job for him. But definitely Kyle did a tremendous job.
And, you know, Kurt Tippmann, like you mentioned, we always underrate the job that he does. But really, their defensive line wasn't huge. Their offensive line wasn't as physically big as we've seen it in years. But a very Chris Schwarzkopf said it's the best technical offensive line he's seen in a long time. So that goes back to coaching. Rick Burkhalter, I thought, did a nice job when they got to the playoffs. They were very solid. Sherwood Haydock, he knew what he had. He had the smash and dash combination there. And, you know, you think they lose Jalen Bennett, how can they possibly come back? The school's all-time leading rusher. And they were, week in and week out, they were a tough victory if you were playing against them. I also thought Brett Fox.
That was the name I was thinking,
deserved a lot of consideration. If you take a look at how much they improved, I've said it all season, how much they improved from week one. You know, Columbia City finishes 5-7. They have an overtime loss to Carroll right there, early, I should say, in October. Really played well. Came to Southside. I know Southside didn't have the season, but you come to an SAC school,
and just
beat them 39-0, and then you go and beat New Haven at New Haven the next week of the playoffs. I thought things ended on a real high for them.
Yeah, definitely, and somebody we're forgetting, DeKalb too.
Yeah,
he's had a tremendous job this year.
Yeah, Pete Kempf.
You know, Pete talked a little bit about just coming in and laying the groundwork and working toward. They did more than that. I mean, we're used to seeing DeKalb there sitting at 0-9 or over there at the bottom of the NHC, and they were really dangerous week in and week out this year.